All right, we're going live. It's live at 5 with my black fly bites and all. Anyway, it should come up here. I just want to make sure that we're public and everything's going. It seems like the camera is doing something. Should be, but it's turning along here. Hope everything is, well, live for a minute and so. But anyway, welcome to Live at 5. If you're new to Live at 5, usually it's Live at 5 Mondays, but I was away this week, and as you can see, black fly bites, helping my sister and doing some renos there. But I have, there's a lot of information going on, and I actually want to bring in some stories that are, how can I say, raw, real, things like that. Unfortunately, well, maybe I could think of something completely new. But what I will say, as far as something completely new, is that we have a ton of edible plants in the city of Toronto, in and amongst people's properties, and also in the ravines, the parks, the areas. We have so many little parks too as well. So the interesting thing, what I'll just mention, is while I was in sussing out the plants that were actually in the ravine, I was actually listening to a demo. I saw this a fellow in a I'm going to say uniform. He was in a uniform, and he was actually underneath the Spadina Bridge, just south of St. Clair. There's a homeless person that's calling a homeless person. He's calling them encampments. But anyway, I saw him walk up. First of all, I thought, I better grab the leash of my dog. Maybe he's giving tickets out for people who don't have their dogs on leashes. But no, he walked up underneath there and started talking to this person, very friendly, very, very, hi, Angel, very considerate. And he was asking him if he's okay, and then asking, just, checking in, make sure everything's okay. Do you have any propane? I think he's under the fire department somehow, because the van that I saw after I was coming out of the park, because he had, there's about 4 encampments, as he calls them, in there. So he checks on, make sure there's okay, see if he can make it better for them, and so forth. So that was very interesting. That was something new. This fellow was amazing. Like, I mean, the way he spoke, the tone in his voice, and then he came down, and I actually had to say that I overheard his conversation with this guy, and thought it was just amazing. And then I started, and he said, make sure they get food and stuff. I said, well, there's a lot of food right here in the ravine that they could eat. And he goes, really? Anyway, I just pointed out a couple plants, and then he had to go on his way anyway, and do his job. But that was very cool today. Very cool. Now, I didn't write a darn thing down, so I just want to, I know there's a few things I want to bring up here. One thing I want to bring up is yeah, it's interesting walking around. It seems like the injection is on people's minds. So neighbors, I was just coming home from something I'm going to tell you about in a second, and yelling across the road, not yelling, but speaking loudly across the street, let's say, because I'm in Toronto. And the one person goes, oh, so have you got your vaccine yet, as they say. And then, they're going through the whole story for about 5 minutes or so. And are you getting the kids injected too? I say injected, they say vaccinated. Yeah, after, I think, May 31st, 12 and over, that kind of thing as well is going on. And I know this seems to be the biggest event on people's minds mostly, but I decided, I like to do good work stuff, and there was a neighbor whose husband passed about 4 years ago, and I remember going in, just one day knocking to see how she is. She was all alone in the house, and I just thought I would knock on their door. So 4 years ago, I went in, and we had this little chat, and I asked her if her husband had been communicating with her, and she said that she had an incident, glass, like it's a glass vase, and blown glass. It was actually quite heavy, so not quite a vase. And she had a leak in the washroom and it slipped from her hands, and it had tile floor and this glass, and it did not break. She closed her eyes. She said she heard ringing, and but didn't break. The tile didn't break, and the vase didn't break. But anyway, today I was touching. I saw her outside a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her how she was doing, and she says very lonely, very lonely. And I said, well, why don't I come over sometime? And I was going to go over Monday, but I ended up going up north. And so I went over today. Just was over there now. And the interesting thing is how much information people don't know, don't bother, don't want to. It's not of interest to them to read things about this, about the injection. They don't want to read anything because it's boring. It's not exciting. It's not something they want to read. Anyway, we talked about a multitude of things, actually. We talked about the ego. We talked about, she's an English professor and her husband was a math tech fella. And so we talked about a lot of things. So it was interesting to hear. She takes courses. She loves to learn, so she takes courses. And one course that she was taking is a part of it is actually about, and I think she's gone, it's a class that they're going to do, is how to talk to a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theorist. There it is, a conspiracy theorist. And that was it. So when I asked her what it about, she hadn't taken the class yet. So I said, next time we get together, I want to ask about this. I just think sometimes the way this division is carrying on is it's carrying on as if we're going to talk to a group, let's say one side, and have them think about on the other side that they're broken, right? That they're broken, that they have no, absolute zero justification for questioning what's going on, like 0, freezing every 2 to 3 minutes or so. Thanks, Angel. Well, it's either get a new camera or something is going on here and I just have to take it elsewhere, go on YouTube or something like that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's been a comment a few times lately, so I'm thinking it's a new camera, so that's kind of odd. Anyway, thank you for that. So hopefully, if I talk a bit slower, maybe that will help. Not sure. Or maybe it'll go away. The thing I wanted to talk about is sides and division, and how easily it is where you take sides, and next thing you know, you have almost like a group or a club or things on the other side, and they are being told whatever they're being told about the other side, and again, thinking that things are broken without logically thinking or even intellectualizing that, hold on a second, perhaps if I hear them out, hear what they have to say, it might be that much easier. Actually go down a couple of paths to see what it is that they're looking at. Now, I mentioned affair things. We talked about many things before this, but the idea was, I mentioned that when I go on the website, I prefer to go through studies, go through the websites like Health Canada and CDC and WHO and Toronto Public Health, and go and actually see what they're saying in its entirety instead of picking and choosing what there is to be said, as in through mainstream media. Division is clear. Divide, division. And I, just to keep stepping back to what people are hearing and things like that. There's so much to be said in different things, but it's one of those things where you go, if you have a conversation about it, but you can't agree, and all of a sudden things go, yeah, you just have to kind of split ways. You know, you can, the two to agree to disagree is probably a great way to be. It is about having healthy conversations or a discussion, and you may not be on the same page, and say that, but let me hear what you have to say, and then I will speak and you can hear what I have to say. And then you have this healthy discussion, however it is. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. And sometimes you're going to feel that it's not the right person, it's not the right time, and have some sort of agreement that if it gets out of hand, you're going to stop the discussion, right? Or you're going to say, well, let's just disagree, agree to disagree, and maybe when we're not, you should get excited about it, right? Get excited about it. And this is the kind of thing, it'd be great to bring people together, no matter, if we have to say two sides here, on no matter what side people are on, and always be, being reminded ourselves that we want freedoms, or people want freedoms, I want freedoms, to choose, and to enjoy democracy as they call it, and maybe that wasn't so free that we thought. And to be able to have that for everybody else. People have the right to choose what they want. If I want my freedoms, I should want to give them their freedoms. No strings attached. And allow them to do that. Now, the convincing thing is thinking that we're right. Right? Convincing righteousness, what right. And if we just kind of put that over to the side and go, there's so many pieces here that we don't know with a shadow of a doubt that it works this way or that way. It's almost like we have to kind of get over a hump of being so divisive, like so divided. If we could do that, then people, no matter which side they're on, let's say in some ways people believe that everything is going to be all right and whenever they get their vaccine, and even for them to see some sanity in the other side, just a bit of sanity, and just agree, well, we have the choices. I made my choice for the reasons I did. You make your choices for the reason you do. And that's it. I just sense and feel that that might be a very healthy step into the next day, tomorrow, this week, next month, which is just openly say we disagree, we disagree, and I'd love to hear your side. So obviously, you are going to let them speak first instead of yourself speak. It's almost like politeness, I guess you want to call it, and see what comes about, because it's not about them trying to convince you, not about anybody trying to make you, change your mind, see how wrong you are, anything like that. All that language can be even discussed about, okay? So we're not going to try and prove each other wrong. We're not going to try to convince each other. We just want to share what we think for the reasons why we think, and just be heard. I know I've been saying that people just want to be heard. If we can come together, there will be more sanity in the long run if we kind of come to that realization that we have to come together. Even if we can agree to disagree, it is absolutely coming together. And the other piece to remind ourselves and others, is always a two-way street, is that we're entirely 110% responsible for our health, for our actions. Entirely responsible. So if I don't get it and something happens, that's my responsibility. If somebody that we know, that we love, gets it and something happens, that was their response. We need not feel guilty that, well, we just didn't say the right thing. We didn't say the right thing. If only, if only, if only. And then you're going to beat yourself up over it. And it's not, it's not really, how could I say it? I think the sense and feeling of us coming together more and more is if we realize that people are 100% responsible for their health and that they have free will to choose, then we have to let go. That magical word, let go, let go, let go, whatever the outcomes are. And it's not about I told you so. It's not about I told you so, because in actual fact, it always can come on to us when something else they were right about and we were wrong about, I guess, in some ways. It doesn't lead to a healthy conversation. Of course, we should just be there for people and just say, sorry to hear, that's unfortunate, you did your best with the information you had, you made your choices, and so forth. So we make our choices and we're 100% responsible. So if you look at every human being that's having to make this choice and understand that they are not doing their research. They are believing in the government or the medical, the government, whatever, 100% because they're not doing their research. Even the academics, again, they don't even like the topic. They don't like the topic. They're bored hearing about it. They're bored reading about it. They don't want to read the information. So that's what's kind of happened. That's is part of what happened. It's probably not all that happened, but some people are probably in that camp. Don't want to do the research. It's too boring. It's not going to be exciting. And that's that, right? That's that. So for those who don't believe in the injection or are not planning to get it, for the reasons you are not getting it is because we're in third phase human trials. Is it because it's a very brand new injection, as in it's so brand new, it's mRNA, it's a therapy they've never used, a gene therapy as they call it. It never been done before really on humans, and they had a very short period of time. Is it because you're hearing about the side effects, that people are not having their menses for 3 months after they get it? And certainly people have gotten sick for a couple of weeks, or thousands have died with it as well. Maybe that's why you're not getting it. But your reasons for not getting it is going to be your reasons for not getting it. But at the end of the day, there are people that, the peer pressure, the divisiveness, and people are actually saying they got it when they didn't get it, just to shut people up. So that can't feel very good for lying. But at the same time, if you're tired of hearing it and hear it, that's what it may lead to for people, that they're actually going to outwardly lie because their customers and their clients and things like that are actually, they don't want to be judged, they don't want to get into it. So this is happening. It's happening with businesses and their customer clients, and people are doing that. So other people who have gotten it recently, or at least gotten the reason why they got it, and this has happened a dozen times or so, is because they want to travel. They've gotten the first one because they want to travel. That's it. They wouldn't have gotten it otherwise. And they feel it's a done deal. They feel it's a done deal that these passports or whatever are going to exist for real across this planet. And they fear not being able to travel to their second home, to their home where their families are, or the place where their family are. They got to travel. They wish to travel. And so that's why they're getting the first ones. So here's my message on that front to people, maybe even around the world. It is not a done deal. It is not a done deal. And if you are going to come up with something, if I could come up with a pill right now, it's the patience pill. So take a patience pill and take a big one, a huge dose. Take it once a day. Maybe some people have to take it 3 times a day. But take a patience pill. And with patience, things are unfolding. France is not going to allow the passport. So what are we going to have? We're going to have airlines traveling where they are and they aren't. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But the idea here right now is when I read the airlines were super, super pressured. If they wanted to get funding, it's a lot of pressure there. So reach out to the airlines and tell them how you feel, wherever you can. I know I will have to one. And basically, if you have one country that doesn't, but yet all the airlines do, so what am I going to travel by France Airlines all the time? I don't know. But they use language such as may, and I think it's a lot of fear tactics, and it's worked for a number of people to actually go and get their first one. And they might not get the second one. Here's the second thing I have shared with some fellow Canadians. And the fellow Canadians is actually understanding that Canada is in a bubble. I think I might have heard this somewhere before, but Canada is in a bubble. They are not hearing about so many things that's going on outside in the world, like Turkey, no lockdown, no nothing, very open. Mexico, the same thing. If people here, Canada, let's say, is listening to mainstream only and the news, government, medical, then they're in a big bubble. They have not heard that France has not got they're going to allow it, or the States. They haven't heard this information. So be mindful. This is just to be mindful for people when we're talking and the choices and decisions they're making, that Canada is very much in a big bubble with the information that they're getting. And that's clear from my conversations these last day or so, that that is where they are. So these are practitioners, and there's something else that came to mind too with holistic practitioners as well in the conversation, was that certain associations are getting complaints because practitioners are making it about what they believe and sharing and pressuring and stuff like that. If you have a business, if you are even a practitioner, the idea is, as medical kind of has the oath, do no harm. We can really, with certain information, rattle, shake, and because really they're not feeling safe. If you cannot believe the government that's made many choices, then that puts people in feeling very, 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 very unsafe. And that's not a really healthy place to be. So as people, so then I'm just going to kind of shout this out, as people and practitioners, to do no harm would be to step back and be careful with what you say to who you say. Now, I know we can get carried away, and we care about people's health tremendously, but this is where the patient pills will come in, where we're actually stepping back and pausing and thinking about the very key things here. Everybody is 100% responsible for their health, wherever they are. They can't blame the doctors. They can't blame anybody else. They can't blame their parents. They can't blame the holistic practitioners either. There's no blame here. People have to take 100%. If a person makes a decision, and you made it on a decision because you said, oh, well, that person is a medical doctor, and something they didn't like happened, then this is where I say one of the powers that we have is to question. Ask for a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, but question. Now, you may get a lot of information from different sides, and as a mother, when you're a first-time mother, you're inundated with what people think you should do, should and shouldn't do. And it was clear there was different opinions on various things. Very clear, very clear. And I would never let your baby cry to sleep. That would be my comment on that. Never let the baby cry to sleep. What you're telling the beautiful infant in its innocence and life, as complex as man, is that you don't care about them. That you don't care about them. And doing that, and for the length of time, it's crazy. I tried it once because a person kind of convinced me to do it. And again, I did it on my own. I realized it, but I had to stop. I mean, I didn't even do it the one time through. It just the way it came across and whatever, it was, I just knew it wasn't right. But you see, a lot of books, a lot of teachers, a lot of people who would influence other people have their opinions on things. They just do. From where, that's to be explored. But it is up to each and every one of us to question and question more if you have to. But you don't need to make a decision. If you're questioning something, then ask the question. Ask the question before you go to bed and see if in your sleep you actually come up with some sort of solution that's going to pop in the next day. You can practice with this, but those are the things you got to reach into your gut, reach into your higher self, whatever it is. Pray for the answer. Whatever it works, meditate on the answer. Ask the question before you go to bed. These are some of the tools that you can use, but reach in. But it is about, no, Angela, I don't think it's your computer. I've watched past ones where they said they were freezing and it froze. So who knows why? I might just explore getting another camera and call it a day. And but again, this isn't a new one, or I may just choose to see if there's the warranty on it. So I'm going to read some jokes, but let me see if there's anything else I wanted to bring in. Since I was up north and didn't get back till late Wednesday night, I'm going to put a couple links down below. Some people are traveling, and interestingly enough, I'm even consulting with people to ask them what they should do. Take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. Travel, how to come back in the country, like these interesting things, or just what the heck is going on, and how does this relate to humanity on that scale. And it's very interesting that's coming up, and I can see why, because this is like an event like no other, really, and it is challenging people to the bone, really it is. So it's great that people can reach out to each other. And I'm finding I'm still continuing to pick up the phone and call, a couple of people here, send out emails to a few clients here, and just reaching out because I don't, many people don't do a lot of the reading, of course, and the research and stuff like that. So if you have any idea or any questions, whatever, and you're the only person in your environment, whether workplace, family, friends, circles, whatever it is, then you can see just how interesting it would be. Now let me see if I can find a couple of things here. I may just have to wait there's a lot of stuff I have to either finish up or read, but there's a lot of things coming into play. Let me just see if I can personally, I was just kind of reading through some of the here. Now if you haven't signed a petition against C10, that is the government's ability to remove your freedom to share information, and probably will monitor and whoever knows whatever. But let's just see here. Latest CDC data shows reports of adverse events after COVID vaccines surpassed 200,000, including 943 among 12 to 17-year-olds. So this is some data. Data. Yep, the warnings are clear. Vaccinated kids for COVID is a dangerous gamble. I'm reading Children's Health Defense Kennedy. FDA knows this pesticide causes brain damage in kids, so why isn't it banned? And actually, through a University of York, I've probably brought up this ages ago, they know that fluoride could be behind the cause of ADHD. This is a huge, out of a university here near Toronto, York University. And the only way I read it was because somebody they know in the family is alumni of York University or worked there. And so she's probably alumni, she probably worked there too. So at the end of the day, you have people in the know of things, people who are well versed in things, sharing information, but stuck in a university magazine somewhere. and not out in mainstream. So let's just see what else I can find here. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I found out, I don't know if you know, I kind of got eggs from the farm, and then I had a small group of people in the neighborhood that would get these farm fresh eggs from me, and the person who I used to get it from passed, so I just found out that this week. Errol had a heart of gold, but it made me reflect even more and to share with people that this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to get connected to your local farmers. And don't do it out of fear, but do it out of thriving. Do it out of thriving. And there's one company here I'm going to mention. They were part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and they went out and sourced from small farmers some very good food, organic, wild, and I've just continuously seen them blossom over the years. And I'm going to post their link to their site down below at some point. They have an affiliate program, so I was thinking of signing up with that as well. But True Local and Fresh City Farms, although it's kind of interesting to see Fresh City Farms, very organic, again, holistic, very holistic minded, but yet they're hosting a clinic and they're giving away free apples to people who go get the injection. So obviously we don't always know where people's heads are at. Let's say if they're holistic practitioners, they're getting the injection as well. Here is a company that's run Holistic Fresh City Farms, and they're holding a clinic and offering free apples if you come. They have 300 spots. So somewhere, somehow, whatever, we're going to be surprised if you're not already been shocked on various people that actually are getting it, got it. This seems to be a thing. And I'm not saying get used to it. I'm just saying it's a thing. And we're going to be surprised, surprised at certain people and surprised at what people say on the side. So the side that are getting the injections, again, they don't have the time, they don't care to do their own research and reading. They are very trusting of what the government is telling them to do. And a story. So that's the true locals of the world, the Fresh City Farms of the world are still, or your local farmers. If you live in the country, you may have seen signs that say eggs, eggs for sale. Or ask around your neighborhood for farmers. So I'm going to kind of get, connected, and I've been asking people so I can get sources of chickens and turkeys and stuff like that. And because, I love my turkey, I love my good food. And sometimes if you go directly, it's a bit cheaper than if you can get it at the farmer's market. Let the truth be known. Some things like that can be cheaper. It's a lot of work for them, farmers, to do, and they give up a lot of time being at these farmers markets, and they go to them quite a bit. So they manage, but supporting local farmers, I think, is worth the extra dollar or so if you can. And that would be great. So I am trying to see quickly here. I know I read a number of things here. It's bound to get Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced his provincial reopening plan yesterday. The first part of the plan won't kick in for weeks, and it looks like case counts no longer matter. Ontario's freedom now hinges on vaccination rates. And hey, the golf courses will be open. So it's very interesting is kind of what's happening, but that's no different than the death rates. They kind of put the death rates to the side, focused on the case rates, and now they're probably just focusing, then they move to the variants and then the vaccine. So you may kind of go back and forth on things, keeping a huge distraction away from some of the things that are really happening out there. And that's the sense of it. If you're organizing an event, I have to tell you, I know when I've organized big conferences with hundreds of people, 100 people or so, it you just only have so much time and energy, and in order to make something successful, that's a complete distraction. So we can easily, and people can easily be distracted, and especially if they don't want to read about it too. Let's see what else I may have here as far as information, but I do hear through the grapevine. I don't even know if he deserves the title. Yeah, I'm just going to call him Mr. Gates. Let's close the gates. Is seemingly more and more in trouble all the time. However, when I mention that to people, they have not heard about it. Again, the bubble exists for sure. And let me see if there's anything here. Oh, well, a story, as I'm full of them. In Meetup, I posted the rally for May, so a week ago, last Saturday, or maybe it was just last Saturday. Yeah, not even a week ago, in the Meetup group. And in that Meetup rally, so I just decided I was going to do a special Meetup for, I just post this event, people can look at it, people can go, not go, it's completely up to them. And in there I put a few links for people to be aware, and I also talked about the germ theory and the terrain theory, just to get people exploring. Well, somebody turned me in. Anyway, that's what I'll say. Somebody reported it to the meetup.com, and so I got a lovely email with actually the very piece with one of the links in it about the germ theory versus the terrain theory, and asked to be taken it down and to say that, yep, somebody complained and we want to make sure everything's cool. They didn't say it that way, but they wanted to make sure everything is good, and that I have to take it down immediately, and if I don't, whatever, next steps. So easy to take down. But again, the pressure that's seemingly coming through, whether again they're in the place of not knowing enough information, genuinely, or they just want to keep their nose clean and they have to respond to people accordingly. So go from there. Anyway, I'm just going to end it with a couple of jokes if anything pops in, but there's always things going on for sure. But remember your patience pill. Remember your patience pill, even for yourself, right? So you might be reading and it might get you emotional, but even remember, take the patient pill, take a deep breath, even take 3 deep, slow, deep breaths, and catch yourself when you are getting immersed in something, the emotions and feelings that are not a positive emotion and feelings, or good feeling vibrations, and just take that pause, take that time to stop, and you don't want to go there. So if you need to take a break from it or just connect, everybody has free will, right? Everybody has free will. So you can ask yourself the question, how am I feeling and what am I getting out of this by feeling this way, right? And so I opened this to the last page today. This is the joke and pun and riddle book, 50 years old. And so this was here. I'm going to read a few. Some I haven't read, but that's okay. Let's go through it. Let's have some fun here. And if there's any questions or comments, feel free to put them down below. And once I get to go through a bit of information, I will come on next week and share. Okay, here's Jim. I had a bad dream last night and chewed the insides out of the pillow. Tim, did you feel sick today? Jim, no, just a little down in the mouth. Meg, do you have hot water at your house? Peg, we sure do, and I'm always in it. Joe, what has 6 feet and sings? What has 6 feet and sings? Mo, a trio. Mrs. Dilly and Mrs. Dally met on the street. "Oh, Sadie," said Mrs. Dilly, "so many things have happened since I talked to you last. I've had all my teeth removed, and a new storm door, and a refrigerator put in." Oh, Lordy. Sounds like the teeth. That's the kind of one you have to read twice. But I think we get it. She's mixed it all up. Here's this thing here. This is I've heard this before, and I'll probably post this on Facebook. Did you ever see a salad bowl, a home run, a kingfish, a firefly, a ginger snap, a picket fence, a square dance, a shoe box, a hot dog stand, a key punch, a ball park? I heard these a long time ago. It was cute. Just a kind of a play on words there. But anyway, there's always going to be much to talk about, and the latest and the greatest, and I'm sure most people here are keeping aware, a little bit aware, and just always going to remind people to keep the balance in your life, because not necessarily going down the rabbit hole, but spending a lot of time on this, a little bit every day. So sometimes you're going to spend time in it, but just be mindful of your own health and what you need, and the fun and play in life still exists even during this bent. Believe it or not, it still exists. So does that mean you're being creative? Are you, thinking of new things? Are you playing? Being creative, playing somehow, playing cards, and doing all of that. So all good. I think that I'm just going to leave it for there today, and have a awesome long weekend. And again, feel free to reach out to some people even one person. Ask them how they're doing, and let them be heard, and you be heard as well, to a certain degree, as we're not here to convince. Everybody has free will. So it's interesting. You'll find out things about yourself, even as how things trigger you. So there you go. So today is my first cleanse day. Drinking my cleanse liquid. It's like aloe vera and a bit of juices and stuff like that for a day with water. And that's it. That's it. So every once in a while, it's good to give yourself a break, whether that means you have a light eating day, just salads, some vegetables, maybe just fruit, things like that. Go by what works for you. But there's degrees of cleansing, and some people can't do the not eating, but it's a practice, and it does get easier after about, I think I'm going on like 25 years now in the world of that cleansing or detoxing, however you want to call it. There's many ways to do that. Anyway, I'm going to wish you a happy evening and a long weekend, and see what creativity and what play you can bring into your world over the weekend and forevermore, and go from there. So take care, everyone. Bye for now.